Okay, hello, Matt Demers. Please, first of all, introduce yourself. Who are you? What's your swag? What's your agenda? And also, I figured, this is going to be dropping on New Year's Day. Now is the perfect time to run through my top fives with someone else whose opinion I respect just as much. So we're going to break it down. We got two Ottawa film critic guys over here of sorts, something like that. I don't know what the hell, what cultural commentators, whatever it is. We're breaking down our top five. So tell us where we can catch you, and also just dive into tell me your number five, your fifth favorite movie of 2021.
First off, Michael, so excited to chat with you. Any excuse to talk about movies, I'm in. There could be like like you call me at midnight. Hey, you want to talk about movies? I'm in. No, I've been doing film reviews for 580 CFRA here in Ottawa. Some stuff on the CTV. My site, the Flaming Thumb. So I've been doing it for a couple of years now, and I absolutely love it. And at the end of the year, I do like putting together these lists of the best stuff. Maybe at the end we can throw out some worst movies because we had to sit through them. So maybe this could be a little bit of revenge. Okay. number five on my list to kick things off. Listen, my list is a little eclectic, so you're going to get different genres here. So I have to include some superhero stuff because listen, this is the genre that people flood to the movie theaters to see. I mean, yes, movie theaters are still a thing. And there's one that I just saw that was a love letter to the genre and the mythos of Spider-Man. That would be Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, the reason it's on my list is because I feel like it's an achievement in the sense that there was so much hype around it. I kind of surround myself in circles with, people that are very much into those movies and the conspiracies about who's in, who's out, the rumors, the innuendo. And I feel like it delivered. I was in the movie theater, Michael, and there was spontaneous applause, maybe like 5 times throughout the movie. And if a movie can make you that excited, then I'm in, right? And then no spoilers for those that haven't seen it.
Because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, and I think it really is for that genre, for the superhero genre. And I only have the one on my list. This is the one that I was gonna highlight. I do, as a runner-up superhero one, there's Zack Snyder released his cut of the Justice League this year. And it was far superior than the other one. I mean, it is like 4 hours long, but Zack Snyder's got a really interesting visual sense, and you can really see what his vision was for these heroes. So that's my take on the superhero stuff.
Okay, I want to get into that for a second. So I saw Justice League, just the whatever the hell Joss Whedon thing, and it was tough. It was a tough movie to finish, for sure. And I guess it's like, there's all this other stuff in it. Like, it's 4 hours. It's a completely different experience.
Oh yeah, completely. Really? Yeah, Snyder so what happened? So I think the biggest difference between Marvel and DC, Michael, is that when Marvel set up their Avengers films, right, those team movies, they already had individual films for like Iron Man and Captain America, so we knew those characters. Whereas Justice League, there was no real backstories. It was just like, all right, here's a team movie. So what Snyder did is he kind of gave the origin stories. He broke it down into chapters, right? So you really get to know these characters, like Cyborg or like the Flash is like, he gave them reason to care about them. Whereas in the Joss Whedon one, it was like, okay, we got a little bit, but I don't really care.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't know, with Spider-Man, I mean, I know what you're saying. Like, I remember seeing Avengers Endgame, and in that last third of the movie, people were going apeshit. People were like, they were gonna rip the screen down. They were having so much fun. So I hear what you're saying, and I can kind of imagine what happens in the new Spider-Man movie without even saying it out loud to, bring bad spirits on me or whatever. But sounds like fun. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like my whole thing with Marvel is I'm having a hard time caring after Endgame because I feel like that was like the period, and now now there's just more. It's like, but it's over. But I understand it'll never be over. But for me, it's like it's kind of like I had a hard time coming out of COVID, you know, or coming out of not that we're out of COVID, but like coming out of, you know, there's no theaters. I kind of had a hard time caring about Marvel anymore. But yeah, I watched Black Widow, but then I was like, oh, well, I haven't been able to do this for a long time. And then I watched it, and it was good. It was fun. There's a lot of good performances, but it was kind of like, well, but it's over. I couldn't help but have that feeling in my head.
No, you're right. You're right. And yeah, they're trying. I think Spider-Man might change your mind because they set up all kinds of new stuff. And yeah. This, by the way, it'll never end. They probably have the next 50 movies mapped out at this point. It's such a moneymaker. All right, what's your number 5?
Okay, my number 5 is it is a documentary actually by Rodney Asher, who did the Room 237 documentary.
Yeah, love
it. Which was pretty kooky. And it was all about the conspiracy theories within The Shining.
Yeah.
You know, the Room 237 is the Stanley Kubrick's room of guilt because he faked the moon landing. And it's just sort of batshit crazy. And so I enjoyed Room 237. I thought it was an interesting lesson in psychosis. And then so that was like a few years ago though. And then his latest movie is called A Glitch in the Matrix.
Oh yes, I did see this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was cool and definitely very, very like concerning and alarming. And I would say for a documentary, a genre that is known for just people talking or maybe some narration, I found this one really horror adjacent. I always love it when a documentary pushes the medium or its genre or whatever you want to say and becomes more cinematic.
Yeah. More
like a narrative film where I feel like something's going on beyond just like gaining more insight into a certain subject matter. So this you've seen it deals with the simulation theory, the idea that we're basically all living in a video game being played by aliens, which was sort of this idea put out there by Philip K. Dick, who himself was on like mescaline and heroin and all this stuff back in the day. Regardless, I think it is an interesting case study in disassociation from, you know, the combination of poverty and the internet. And that is really scary. And when you look at the guy at the end who talks about listening to Let the Bodies Hit the Floor before, and like looking at the Matrix poster. And like I knew that story. I'd seen it.
I didn't know that story. And that's actually the little part of that documentary that really stayed with me. Like I was like, it really affected me. Yeah, no, I would agree with that whole documentary is a must watch.
You would agree that it's like horror adjacent and it really does affect your mood.
Yeah. Oh, totally. You know? Like on the surface, I was excited to watch because I'm like, oh, this is interesting, you know, the Matrix and you know, what are these theories? What do people believe? But then, by the end, it was
alarming.
It was really affecting viewing experience for sure.
Definitely. All right, what's your number 4?
Oh yeah, okay, number 4. We've got a movie starring Nicolas Cage. Yes, Nicolas Cage made a top 5 for me this year. He makes so many movies, but there's one this year he was in called Pig.
Yes.
And I've been recommending this one. I find myself recommending it a lot lately because I'm like, I feel like it maybe was a little under the radar. I think when the trailers came out, people thought, oh, it's like John Wick, but with Nicolas Cage getting revenge for someone taking his pig. So much more to it than that. He's a truffle hunter. This pig was important to him, but who else was it? Alex Wolff is in it, and he goes back to Portland, and we learn every scene. We kind of learn something new. And I thought Nicolas Cage. I mean, I was reminded of just how good of an actor he was, because I think he makes a lot of these. Well, they're not straight to
paycheck
video.
movies.
Yeah. So he makes a lot of these movies, but I
Yeah.
mean, let's not forget he won an Oscar for
Yeah.
for
Leaving Las Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas. That's
Yeah.
right. And I thought he did fantastic. It's a really great movie. I thought the cinematography was great. You know, the stuff we see, the performances. It's just there's this one scene at a restaurant table. It's just I don't know. I thought that was one that surprised me. It was one that I went in expecting something and got a whole different experience, and I love that.
So I haven't seen it, but from the reactions that I've read and heard, it seems like sort of reminds me of when M. Night Shyamalan came out with Split, and people are like, "Oh my God, he can make a good movie again." Oh yeah, he made good movies. That's what a relief.
Yeah, no, totally.
And Nicolas Cage is a great actor who has like a wild Hollywood lifestyle that he likes to, keep going. So he can buy a dinosaur skull and do crazy things like that, And but he's great. He's cool. I got to talk to him for a minute on the red carpet of Color Out of Space, and I was like, "Oh man, you got that dark energy. You're so cool." And he was like, "Well, yes, I have many kinds of energy. It really just depends on what side I wake up in the morning." Like he is that guy. He had the man bun, the cowboy hat, the dark shades. It was so cool.
Yeah, no, I recommend that one. So yeah, it's just called Pig. There's a lot more going on than meets the eye.
People thought it was like a horror movie, but it's definitely like more sentimental. And there's a lot of stuff going on there, from what I hear.
Yeah, no, for sure. Don't expect John Wick because that's kind of what I was expecting. Not a whole heck of. I mean, there's some action, but it's more of this character study. And I'm trying very hard not to give spoilers because the revelations are really interesting as you go through it. So yeah.
Oh well, I look forward to it. I'll definitely try to check that one out. So my fourth favorite song, my fourth favorite movie of the year is called Swan Song. Now this is confusing because there's two movies called Swan Song. There's one right now on Apple TV with Marshala Ali. Me. But the one I'm talking about is with Udo Kier. And yeah, I know. There's another one. It played at the South by Southwest Film Festival, which I covered in March. And I really enjoyed it. I did a little interview with the director, Todd Stevens, and Udo Kier. And it's sort of like a gritty comedy. It's sort of like a real comedy that is I thought it was really inspired casting because you don't really see Udo Kier as like your lead in a comedy, but they sort of, he's the guy. He did some movies produced by Andy Warhol that are on Blu-ray this year in 4K, like Flesh for Frankenstein, Blood for Dracula, and he was, and then they put him in Blade. And then he's in like little movies. He'll have like a small role in a big movie, but he's like a great character actor. He's got this like menacing face. He was famously born in Berlin the day World War II ended. He's got this whole mythos about him, but you don't think lead in a comedy, but it's really cool. And for people who might like The Straight Story by David Lynch, I thought this is sort of similar because it's about a guy who like flees the retirement home. He was this gay fashion designer back in the day, and he flees his retirement home to come back to the old town to see what has changed and what hasn't. And it's really touching. It's really sweet, but it's not contrived or corny. It's like very real still. And yeah, it really reminded me of The Straight Story because everybody thought David Lynch could never make like a sweet movie or a sentimental movie. And then he does that with The Straight Story, which is a very touching movie within like the filmography of David Lynch. So yeah, I thought it was really low key, but with consistent laughs. And yeah, I thought it really surprised me. I really sat around and thought about it a lot.
Amazing. Yeah, no, I hadn't seen this one. I was expecting you to say the first Swan Song, which I have heard of, but I also haven't seen. But I'm definitely gonna check this one out. That ties into my number 3, which is also a comedy.
Nice.
I think it's a comedy. Well, it's a dramedy comedy. I mean, I laughed a lot in this movie. It's called Licorice Pizza.
Oh my God.
PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson. Yeah, no, just a flat out funny. And I thought the performances were great in here. It's and I didn't realize this until after. It's Philip Seymour Hoffman's son was like the main guy.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't know that. But Bradley,
I thought it was like Dustin Hoffman's grandson or something. That's hilarious.
Bradley Cooper has a cameo which is amazing towards the end. Now, have you seen Licorice Pizza? It's so great.
How did you see it? It's not like it in the theaters here. You got some press privileges I don't have, my friend.
Yeah, I got my sources. I pulled some strings because I had to see it.
It's amazing. I'm so jealous because that's like right up at the top of my want to see list.
It was for me too, and it's not going to disappoint. And it's like I said, really laugh out loud funny. The performances are great. The story, I mean, it's set set back in the day, so you're going to get a lot of nostalgia.
Yeah.
I mean, production design, all that is like pitch perfect. But yeah, definitely keep it on your anticipated list because it's one to watch. It'll probably be nominated for a bazillion things. I would hope, anyways.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, he crushed it with Boogie Nights. That's one of my favorite, 90s movies.
Yeah, me too. Watch it.
Yeah, with the 70s vibe. And also I think it's a relief that he would make a movie like this. I like Phantom Thread, but it's a very crusty movie. It's hard for people to relate to. It doesn't have that like funky heart and soul like the trailer for Licorice Pizza has. So it's like, Paul Thomas Anderson is too good of a director to not be relevant. So I'm glad he made something like this.
Yeah, and you will relate to these. There's so many different characters in here. You'll connect with somebody, guaranteed it. There was one other cameo. So I mentioned Bradley Cooper. The other one, what is his name? Great actor, Sean Penn.
Oh, right.
I just need to mention that because you'll know exactly when you see Sean Penn on screen. Just keep watching something. It's great.
And that's someone else who is known to be a little crusty.
Yeah, but in this one, you can tell he's having fun with his own kind of persona.
That's a relief.
That's all I'll say. Yeah,
I like that. All right, so my third favorite film of 2021 was another documentary. It was called, that I saw actually through South by Southwest as well. And it is called Woodlands Dark and Days Bewitched. So it is basically started off as a featurette on a Blu-ray for a British horror movie from the 70s called Blood on Satan's Claw. And then it spiraled into this 3-hour plus documentary just looking at the history of folk horror, period, which is basically like, think like The Wicker Man or basically like any movie where it's like old ways versus new ways, like rural people against like city slick, and then basically you go in thinking this, the urbanite is correct, and by the end you're not so sure. So it's like looking at these movies like just period, and so it's like paganism versus Christianity, or like in America more like weird Christianity versus Christianity, and then like different cultures. And like a glitch in the Matrix, it stood out to me not just as a bunch of interesting people talking about interesting things, but something with really cool animation and fades and continuity edits that really just highlighted strong filmmaking beyond just like a great like university lecture. Like it was really worthwhile. And also, if you see it and you find it appealing, there's this massive box set that's out right now, or you can order right now, called All the Haunts BRs, a compendium of folk horror. It's a Blu-ray box set which has 19 other movies on it, 19 other folk horror movies, and you could buy for an obscene amount of money. Like it's like 200 US basically. But if money isn't a thing and you just want to watch a bunch of weird ass movies, maybe consider scooping that up. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're highlighting documentaries. There was a lot of good ones this year.
Yeah.
Did you see the Val Kilmer? No. Yeah, I recommend that. Yeah, there's so much great archival footage of like him on set, of like all his movies. It's really great, and he's got his son doing the narration because Val Kilmer's got throat cancer.
Ooh.
And yeah, no, I recommend that one. If I'm gonna throw it a doc, I think it's on Amazon.
Nice.
Amazon Prime Video. All right, I'm gonna go. Is it my turn for number 2?
Yeah, number 2. Go for it.
All right, here we go. It was debating between number 2 and number 1, but I'll stick with number 2.
Yeah.
It's The Power of the Dog. It's The Power of the Dog,
nice.
folks, on Netflix. Yeah. Benedict Cumberbatch. really just an effect. This movie really affected me. I don't know what it was about it. Maybe it was the performances, maybe it was, the production
Hmm.
design, but I thought everything about it was just great. Yeah, I don't know. Have you seen this one, Power of the Dog?
I have not, and I should. I know it's on Netflix, and it played at the Bytown Cinema.
Yeah, that's right.
And
I actually
yeah,
saw it I actually saw it on the big screen.
yeah,
And I'm glad I did actually,
yeah.
because like I said, the production design, cinematography was like,
Mm,
wow, on the big screen. I'm sure it'll look great on your on your big TV as well. But
yeah.
yeah, and then, again, I don't want to give spoilers.
You're
'Cause
here.
there is some revelations that come about that are great. But yeah, Cumberbatch does a really nuanced performance. Like you can really see his character's arc here. And who else is in it? She was in the Spider-Man movies. Kristen Dunst.
Oh yeah, right.
We
Yeah,
haven't seen her in a while, and I saw
yeah.
her and I was like, oh, she's back and she's great.
This is
Um,
cool.
and Jesse Plemons is in there, and yeah, no, I just love this movie. So rich.
I hear it's so nice visually. A friend of mine told me that it's just like I was like, oh yeah, it's coming to Netflix. She's like, yeah, but I saw it at the Bytown, and that's like the proper way to see it because it looks great.
It is. It's very cinematic, but a lot to unpack. So it's one of those movies. And again, I like a movie when it ends,
Yeah.
but your your thought process about the movie doesn't end. Like you'll just randomly be walking down the street and you'll think about the movie, like, oh, did that
Oh, that's the
mean
best.
this? Yeah. So yeah, if you want a movie that stays with you, this is it. There's a lot to unpack in this one.
Nice. Well, it's definitely like Licorice Pizza. That's a high priority for me. And unlike Licorice Pizza, it's available on Netflix right now.
That's right. You can
So
watch it right now.
yeah, it's true. I can do it right after this interview. My number 2 movie is from France, and it is called France. Huh? Which confuses people. And it confused me because I hear a movie called France, I'm like, oh, this is about the history of creating the nation state of France. No, it is not. It is about a character named France de Maillot, who is sort of a megalomaniacal TV host. And I saw this at TIFF, and it's like it's always fun to know just a little bit about a movie and walk into it at TIFF or like any festival. And the actress who plays France de Maillot, I forget her name, but she's in No Time to Die. So that's the thing. And what I liked about it is she's this like evil TV host who's all about ratings and herself and editing things deceptively and having affairs or feeling guilty about being psychopathic and all these things. But what I like about it is it's not like we've seen this movie from the States before, we've seen that movie, but I like that it's from Europe. It's interesting to see maybe even sensibilities, how it's different or how similar it is. I just thought it had sort of real things going on, but it had this operatic over the top tone. It has really cool music that's like, I'm a sucker. I love like, big sweeping, like, Bernard Herrmann, Ennio Morricone or John Williams like vibes. Like I get sucked up in the emotions.
Me too.
And even if it's like ludicrous or it's a hateful character, I try to follow the truth of the story, like that. And yeah, it caught me off guard. I didn't know it was going to be so cool, but it was awesome. So that's my number 2 of the year.
Amazing.
Now, what's your number 1?
Well, I'm going to put that on my list. By the way, honorable mention.
Okay.
There's a poster behind you.
Yeah.
Titan. It's not my number 1.
Yeah,
that's my honorable mention because that movie, wow.
Yeah.
Really. Okay. So here's the thing. Maybe this movie people don't roll your eyes. It's a little more mainstream, but it is one that I was very much looking forward to. I'm a big fan of the director. He's a fellow Canadian, Denis Villeneuve, and the movie's Dune. It's Dune.
Yeah, we talked about this. Yeah, go ahead. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I'm a sucker for sci-fi films. The movie, there was a lot of trepidation. Is it going to be coherent? Is it too much? Is the story, because the book itself is like a phone book.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they cut it in 2, but I was so impressed with how, it's narratively challenging, yes, but in the best ways possible. There's a lot of sci-fi mumbo jumbo, but once you learn who's who and what's what, I mean, it is just a really great ride, and the performances, like I mentioned in my review, are great. But it's all about the visuals for me. It's
Yeah.
all about Denis Villeneuve's scope. You
Mm,
know, the things he can do on screen. I don't know if anyone else can.
mm.
So I saw this obviously in an IMAX on the
Yeah.
biggest screen I could find with the biggest sound available, and yeah, it was a big old French kiss. Yeah, I wanted to see more. I wanted to see more, so I'm really happy that we get the second one coming soon.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this one was pretty long. I think it was three
It's like
hours,
2.5 hours.
two and a
Yeah.
half.
Yeah.
But I could have watched a 4 hour
Oh wow.
movie. It was that enticing and exciting for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I'm not as into it as you are, but that's okay. And there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure. If something is pleasurable, there's nothing to be ashamed of. That's how I feel.
What did you not because you're not alone, by the way, when
No,
I talk about how much I love Dune. Some people don't, but what was it about it that didn't connect quite as much for you?
I thought it was interesting at first, especially like the first like 5 minutes with the narration.
Uh-huh.
Like this is the Lord and the realm and the da. But I guess I got disconnected like an hour into it.
Okay.
And it's just like, sometimes it just happens. The umbilical cord to the screen just gets cut. And you're just kind of like, when
No, you're right.
for it
There's
to
a
end,
lot.
I guess. I felt like the gobbledygook. Like, I felt like people like will tell me, oh, well, you got to read the book. And my thing is, no, the movie should make you want to read the book. I shouldn't have to know anything to enjoy it.
No, I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there was a lot. So I could see that. Yeah. Especially, I mean, if you were going to watch this at home, I can only imagine the disconnect would be 10 times more.
Yeah.
The dog's barking, your phone's ringing. Like, this is a movie you got to hunker down
True.
and just go in. Yeah. But okay,
guess.
now I want to know what your number one is. Oh, there you go.
Come on. It was the
to.
spoiler. It was the suggestive hints throughout this. I've had this up for a bit now for like these video interviews, but no, Titan's my favorite. I love that joint. So I love how violent it is. I love weird, violent things. So I like left field cinema. And then
Very left field, but in the best way possible.
I love how the turn it takes. It's like super violent, then we go over here and we sort of deconstruct it a little bit. It kind of reminds me of like a Yakuza movie. They'll do that often. It's like really tough at first, and then we kind of like see them in the beach shorts, and we kind of unpackage them a little bit. That's like a common thing in like Yakuza movies. But this is not that. She's like, you see the movie. She's an exotic dancer, dabbles in a little serial killing, and gets impregnated by a car. And so if that is like right off the mark, right there, like unappealing to you, it's not for you. And I totally get it. It's like it's a divisive movie. But if someone tells you like that and you have no class, you can say, hey, it won the Palme d'Or. Spike Lee agrees with me. I mean, that's just your opinion.
It's such a no, you're right. It's such a raw, visceral movie that just kind of makes you feel uncomfortable.
For sure.
Or like, you know what I mean? Like it's just it's a movie that just changes how you feel. And very few movies can do that. So yeah, I'm not going to disagree that is an absolute must watch. Yeah, for sure.
Remember, 2 people passed out in Toronto watching this movie.
Oh really?
Yeah.
In your screening?
Not in my screening, in a public screening. So when she breaks her nose, when she's about to break her nose, the woman looked away and the sound made her pass out.
Oh really?
Which is amazing. And I was talking to the programmer of that movie, Mr. Peter Klopowski. He's the Midnight Madness guy.
Yeah.
And he told me that story. I said, well, you know what Steven Spielberg said when people pass out at Jaws? My movie works.
Yeah. No, I used to work at a movie theater and people would pass out. Yeah, because sometimes a movie scene or something, and like you said, if they look away, they're maybe it's worse because they're picturing it.
Yeah.
Combined with the sound, it'll do it. Yeah, that's awesome. All right,
this is my top 5. So your top 5, we got Spider-Man No Way Home.
Spider-Man No Way Home.
And then
Pig. And then Licorice Pizza.
The
Power of the Dog. And
Dune.
Don't At Me, Dune.
No, of course. That's it's a really good list, and it's really interesting. And there's a lot of things I got to see in there, and it made for a good conversation. And once again, my top five was A Glitch in the Matrix, Swan Song, not the Marshala Ali, Urukir, Woodlands Dark and Days We Wish, France, and Titan. Which I get it is way crustier. It's a crusty list. You got 2 documentaries, 2 French movies, and only 1 like Hollywood narrative movie. But it's what it is. It's like I like it all too. But that's my top 5. Is there one
Yeah.
you want to like poop on? Is there a movie that you just hated so much?
I do watch all the movies, so there's a few that I'll just highlight as some of my least favorite viewing experiences.
Sure.
Dear Evan Hansen was a musical.
Ooh, I
Movie.
heard bad things about that one.
Yeah, don't watch it. I mean, it just didn't work for a lot. I mean, Ben Platt played the lead character, and the number one red flag was he's playing like 16 years old. But in real life, the guy's like almost 30.
Yeah.
They didn't do de-aging, they just put awful makeup on him. No, it didn't translate well
Yeah.
to the screen. Clifford the Big Red Dog.
You do see everything then.
Yeah, I got to do a lot of those mainstream stuff. Clifford didn't work for me. CGI was just atrocious.
It looks pretty bad.
Can we stop with the potty humor? And I mean, let's give kids some more credit, okay? I mean, every movie's got like so much potty humor. Home Sweet Home Alone.
Oh my God.
The remake didn't work. It didn't work. Unless you can clone 8-year-old Macaulay Culkin.
Forget about it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Thunder Force. I love Melissa McCarthy. I really do. Okay.
She's funny.
She's amazing. Probably the funniest actress going today.
Mm-hmm.
But stop making movies with your husband directing, because they're not good. They're really not fun. And this is on Netflix. Thunder Force. If you see it in your little scrolling, skip it. And the last one, I have 5 worst movies. The last one is called After We Fell. There's a series, Michael, I don't know if you know about this. It's like a teen YA kind of romance, almost kind of like a 50 Shades for the YA crowd.
Mm-hmm.
There's like After We Fell, After We whatever. They're really awful. It's just melodrama laid on so thick, and the quote unquote sexy scenes are just atrocious. Okay, it's awful. It's one of those movies that like, and maybe it's so bad that it's kind of good, because in the screenings that I watch, people like laugh out loud at scenes that aren't supposed to be funny. But yeah, so that's my revenge list for having to sit through those movies.
I don't have that prepared, so I don't want to just like say one movie and then pause and think for 30 seconds. So we'll leave it at that. But Matt, thank you so much. And once again, where can people catch you in the future?
Hey, you can catch me on. Hey, I want to know what your picks out there, folks. Let me know on Twitter at Mr. Hollywood MD, or if you want to go in the archives, check out some of my reviews. It's at theflamingthumb.com.
Okay, there it is. Thank you so very much for your time.
Hey, thanks, Michael. Anytime.